Tonight on 8.5-bit, we go through a gate, get in a ship, and build a coffin. Welcome, friends of all designs, to episode 283 of 8.5-bit. I'm your host, Paul, and joining me today are my good friends James.
Hello.
And Sam.
Hi.
And the games mentioned in the intro today were, of course, Baldur's Gate 3, Star Wars Squadrons, and I Am Dead.
Is it a game or is it an announcement?
Just letting you know.
It's news to us.
We do release this a few days after we record it, so I could be
So
dead.
between now and then.
A lot can happen.
On tonight's Z Games on 4ZZZ 102. What 2 point something FM? I should learn that.
Not on the
I don't think it's written on the sticker behind me.
Is it tuned to?
I did a pre-recorded segment about Ben Drowned, the creepypasta about the haunted Zelda cartridge.
I do like that one.
And I did forget to say I wanted to do it because I'm doing all spooky voices. Oh, go like, this is pre-recorded, so maybe I'm dead now. Ooh, but if I was, people would be sad. So probably not too many.
At least a handful.
Yeah, a couple would be sad. How are you boys going?
Oh, I'm
Pretty
going
good, yeah.
Well, what do we?
Quite swell.
I'm always just looking at the things
Make
like
sure
the
still-
record button's going, but the OBS did add the actual
the
red,
red
a
around it,
few
yeah.
versions back,
Uh,
and I should remember to look at the red instead of the tiny
the
text on the
giant
other side of the
border.
room. Yeah.
we just finished the Steam Autumn Festival.
Yeah.
We did.
So in a couple of days is the next one?
Yeah,
Oh.
pretty much.
I can't wait.
Which we had Sky Squadron up on there.
Yeah.
Got featured in the VR list, which was nice. Had a bunch of people come through and play it.
I saw some feedback.
Yeah, got some good feedback.
Some of it was good.
Yeah, it was kind of mixed. It was the kind of feedback you wanted. It was stuff which was some things not working properly.
Yeah, that's good
Yeah.
negative feedback.
There was
The
bug
feed-
feedback, and then there was, I know what you should do with this game.
Yeah,
feedback,
yeah.
Which is still helpful.
It's the feedback that says, I see the game you've made, and it would be better if you'd made a different
Could
game.
you make a different game?
That's not the most helpful feedback.
No, but that's okay. You pick and choose. But
No, I value it all equally.
but yeah, no, I think that the big takeaway from it was that we had a multi-branching episode that people played through. So I'm at least now validated in people will load it and people will play through it. And that's actually seems like a small thing, but these things can happen where you make it and then people quit after 2 minutes and you just see a massive drop off of and they go, okay, we've got problems, but at least there's enough content there. I can look at the leaderboards and I can see, right, people have played through the vast majority of this content. That's good.
Yeah, because I think I just even look at the way I do demos on Steam and everything. I go like, oh, give me the interesting games. Interesting. Great. This will be good. Sit down, play it for a couple of minutes. Go, I get the idea now, close. Now, that is probably the most I will ever play that video game. They've now gone, I'm in a small part, but like people like me that go out, it's like, oh, look, 10,000 people downloaded. It's like, yeah, and we all got our fill in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're going to spend the next 2 years finishing this concept might not pay off.
So
Engagement time is a much
Yeah.
better statistic than
So
sheer
that
numbers.
kind of leads on to the next step, which is making sure that the engagement's there. Because it might not, might get something, and and this is where if we can get it up,
Get some gotcha in there.
No, I don't want to do that.
But it's worked so well for one.
for all your other games.
But it was nice walking away to see people. They get the controls, they could start the game, they could finish it. All
And just a
good
few basic people testing on headsets you do not have.
Yeah, index has problems, which is hard to fix because you can't even get an index in
Anae's
Australia.
got one.
Valve.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have
No,
to look her
don't
up.
say we're going to send a message to Valve now.
Valve is going to send us one.
Please, Valve.
That's what's going to happen.
Send Paul one, and I'll allow James to borrow it.
But after all of the work I did and making sure multiplayer was in there, not a single person used it.
Oof.
That's okay.
Oof.
Multiplayer
That's
VR is...
It's hard to set up.
Yeah.
Like Beat Saber just launched it, and it's like, that sounds cool, but also...
What does multiplayer do in Beat Saber?
I don't know.
Just two people
I'm
playing
assuming
simultaneously?
You just play simultaneously, you can see each other, and
I mean, if they do a little bit of
you can talk shit to each other between songs,
because
I guess.
the problem with
It's basically
Beat
just
Saber-
it's just a direct high score competition. as far
yeah,
as I'm
high
aware.
scores on it needs Beat Saber needs something like the star power, where in Guitar Hero,
Yeah.
it's like because you don't have any agency other than just being good at hitting the blocks, which is a great game. But then there's no way to really like now I'm going to play to my advantage, and because I
know this part really
Yeah.
well, therefore I'm going to double the points on it. Yeah.
Or not even like
hard to be
start taking
competitive.
like a competitive Tetris thing. It's like, oh, when I do this, I send all the blocks over to their side or something like that.
Yeah, I think it is just like simultaneous play.
Yeah, I played Super Mario 35.
Oh, yeah.
I played it once and then stopped. I didn't really care. If you don't know
Mario
what that
with
is,
more enemies.
yeah. If you have, well, eventually, yes. I've seen some crazy runs. It's basic. So Nintendo online service, which they called something like that. Currently, they've launched this as a game. It's running till March. It's just Super Mario Brothers, and 35 people play it at once. And it's like Tetris 99, wherein when someone like kills an enemy, it gets sent to another person's screen. You can target people and such. I don't think that I care to play enough Mario to get competitive, so I don't really care about playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird skill set because unlike Tetris, which is people understand Tetris. There's some people that are crazy good at it, but it's like it's randomized box coming down. Mario's not randomized.
No.
So people that have an intimate
There are
knowledge
people
of
who are
those
very
levels,
good at Mario.
so it becomes, do you know where the mushrooms are? Do you know where all the stars are? All the hidden blocks? Do you know all this stuff?
I guess the
that puts you at
randomness comes in eventually just from what's being sent to you.
Yes, but it does mean that when going through levels, people that are experienced have
a distinct
a distinct advantage over it. So it's interesting, but I don't think it's like a thing to run for.
Given I don't even like Mario platforming, I didn't even install it.
Yeah.
You love Mario.
No.
It's so floaty.
Look, when Keen 35 comes along,
Have you gone back and played a Keen in recent
no, I haven't.
times?
I'm sure it does not hold up.
I'll get you that amazing Switch port of Keen Dreams.
Oh, no, the one owned by that douchebag.
Yeah.
That's the reason I didn't buy it. Apparently, the guy's a royal prick.
I did enjoy. I don't know anything about him, so I'm not standing by James's comments there. He could be fine. But when they updated like the title screen art, and it's so much worse than the original.
Yeah. Oh, we got Crystal Caves coming out soon. If not out already, I think it's close. It's real close. I'm just disappointed it's not on Switch.
Yeah, I don't know why it's on Switch. And they did a little like update resolution. So Crystal Caves, along with like Secret Agent and there's a few
Of that era. I mean, there's Duke Nukem, Hocus Pocus.
No, because Crystal Caves and Secret are like literally the same
Yes,
games.
yeah,
It's
it's Crystal
very
Caves.
slightly. I think that was the third one. Anyway, so they're these
Yeah, I know
old
what you
Apogee
mean.
computer platformers, and they're fun enough. They're probably not amazing.
I enjoyed them a
to-
lot when I was 8.
Yeah, when I was a tiny little kid, yeah. There was the one thing that I used to love, and I think they all had the same mechanic, was that enemies, their health dictated which enemy there was. So say it was an enemy with a machine gun, and you shot them once, and they turned into the enemy that had 3 health, and that one had a handgun. And then if you shot them again, they turned the enemy that had 2 health, and that was just someone with a nunchucker or something. Then you shot them again, it's just some guy with his fist, and then you shoot them one more time and they're dead. It's like, it makes no sense.
But it's cool.
But it's like, it's like one of the most unique things about it. So they did a slight sort of high-res pass on it. It still looks like the games, but it looks a little bit nicer. But they kept all the sound effects the same, and these were PC speaker sound effects.
Oh no!
They're not.
No!
I cannot listen to them anymore.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer. I'm like, I'm done.
I also remember that this game it was very easy to get it into a fail state. The way I remember it works is there can be a crystal at the very beginning of the game that you miss on a level, and now the level you can't beat it. So I don't know if they've done anything to mitigate that.
It did not look like they've done much.
I don't think so. I think it's just a visual upgrade. I like the style. I like that they just like made it look nicer, but without changing the art style. It was nice.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about some other games and stuff that we like. Let's just start with a game, because I want to hear about Baldur's Gate 3. Now, I have not played Baldur's Gate, because it's $90, and I don't care that much.
I have played some of it. I know that you've played an absolute shitload more than me.
How many hours has it been since it released? Minus about 5. And that's only a slight exaggeration.
And I was just thinking, I was going to say, like, but you haven't spoken about it much. I'm like, oh, that
No,
must be because
because
you've
I'm
been
playing
playing
it.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how it works.
Okay.
And I didn't want to. I have been speaking about it to the people I've been playing it with far too much.
because I played enough of it to go, yep, I like this.
Wait for release.
I'll wait for release.
But do you really need to wait for release? Because it's the first act, isn't it?
It's the first act, and not all of the options as far as character class.
Yeah, but you can only play one character class at once.
4, technically, if you're playing by yourself.
Okay, I just mean, like, you're always going to be a limited set anyway.
So my rationale behind waiting for this is that I know from just the way of how I play games, it gets one shot. I don't really revisit things. So I think if I play it now, that'll sort of be it. And I'll be unlikely to go back.
So you're going to play it at the same time that Paul plays it, but he'll buy it on a discount.
Probably.
For his... Is it on Epic?
No, it's
damn
on
it! How am I going
to
get my $15 off on Epic?
I think
that coupon expired.
I really liked the intro to it.
Yep.
I think starting off with all the Mind Flayer, weird squid, Cthulhu-y shit is a good way to start D&D. Because I think
one of the traditional monsters.
Well, I think
it's great, but it's one of the least used.
Yeah, so it's one of the traditional monsters, but not in pop culture.
Yeah,
and so
it's new.
Yeah,
most
so
people.
I think it does a good job at showing what D&D can be, beyond just like the tropes of what people think D&D is. So I thought that was
There's
good.
a goblin and an axe, man.
I thought that was good. I enjoy the transition the combat's made, and I'm going to kind of make this in because I also loaded up Divinity 2, and this is one of the reasons I've been a little not standoffish, but like I'm not sure about Baldur's Gate 2 because I didn't really get into Divinity. Not that I think it's a bad game, it's just that the universe doesn't really land with me, and the combat doesn't really land with me. Not a slight on it, it's just not like the tone of it I don't really get into. And so I thought this is basically going to be more Divinity, but no, like it's like the style of it is 100% D&D. All the like the character art, all the weapons, all the like the armor and everything all looks D&D, and I like that style a lot. Looks great. And then what they've done to the combat, it's like
it's D&D.
It's D&D. Like this feels, and
they've made a few tweaks to make it more.
Okay, so
video game like.
Yeah, so we're saying things like we like the combat, but what is the combat? Tell me.
Sam can go into more detail. He's done a lot of it.
It's turn-based combat D&D.
It is turn-based?
It's turn-based.
Okay.
So
does it have any only semi-turn-based options? Like
no. So the one of the big things that people who love the first 2 Baldur's Gates were annoyed at is that it's not active turn-based combat. You can't like run it both real-time and turn-based. It is only turn-based.
It's only turn-based.
It's turn orders. They did make a change between some of the previous stuff and the early access release, which means that if more than one of your characters or an ally is in the same like turn group, you can choose which order they go in. You can just and you can move one, attack with another, and then attack with you can alternate as well. So the groups go at once.
See, I think
but everyone gets their own turn order.
No, sorry.
People, OBS has done
no one can see this. OBS has just switched to Outlook, so I think it's still running. But it's just switched over.
That screen's still on.
I'm just going to scoot forward for a second and check out the computer just to make sure it's still running.
It's still going.
I mean, God, I think the last video got 4 views on YouTube. Nobody watches this show.
The biggest change I like, which is just to make it like D&D, that I prefer over how Divinity works, is that movement is separate from actions. In Divinity, you had X amount of action points per turn, and moving a distance up to X meters cost you an action point. And every one of those movement segments was an action point more. And then doing all the stuff was also action points. It was all around the one resource. Whereas because of Baldur's Gate's D&D, your move is one set where you can move up to X meters. Then you have your action, which is doing a thing. And then you have your bonus action, which is doing a slightly less thing.
And some of that action, it is spent on things like jumping, isn't it?
Yeah, so
it's more like a mobility
bonus
resource.
action. Your bonus action is like mobility or like interaction. Your action is attack, spellcasting, and then your movement is just how far you can move.
I gotta say, I'm riding Sam's audio level like a maniac because he's never been so excited and passionate about
I
a subject.
live and breathe D&D, and this game is exactly that.
Man, I think that one sentence he changed in exponential decibel levels. That's okay.
But yeah, they've done an excellent job of translating the tabletop version into a video game version.
And just like what you were talking about before about Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, you know, they had that real time. I kind of always felt with that, the only reason that was there was because the combat of Second Ed was kind of shit.
Yeah.
And so the best thing to do was let's not make players deal with it, because it's still turn-based back when you're playing tabletop.
Since those days, D&D has become very tactical.
Yeah.
Like the 4th edition was the biggest push for it, and 5th has pulled it back a bit, but it's still a very tactical game. Like everything all the rules and framework is set up for you to be playing on a grid with 5-foot squares with, you know, things that do those distances. And taking your turns in order and all that kind of thing. So translating that into a video game.
So rate the dungeons.
Well, you can't, because there isn't really.
Okay, that doesn't sound.
So what do you mean by dungeons?
And the dragons?
Oh, the dragons are top notch. Actually, the dungeons are top notch too. The few I've been in.
So with the amount of content that's there, you said you've played it a lot.
Okay, so
how much is in there now?
There is a lot. So here's where I am at with playing. I'm above 30 hours. I might be above 40. I'm not sure. But I'm playing with Elliot in one playthrough. I'm playing with my brother in another. I have a solo playthrough. On top of that, Elliot is playing with his partner.
Yep.
My brother is playing with a couple of other people from our family in the UK. And they also both have solo playthroughs.
So is there enough...
Every single one of us has encountered different things.
So there's enough in there.
It's variety more than it is.
So like, have you finished?
I haven't finished the act. I finished the first part of it.
And is that the end of the? Like, is that the end of what's there now?
No, I would estimate I've only seen half of what's in this early access so far.
Yeah,
and that's just from a what exists mind frame, not all the different things you can hit or see mind frame. But there is so much variety. There is so much that's like not just dialogue options, but events and things that happen that are all triggered based off what race you are, what class you are, what background you are, the different things you do, just how combat plays out can change things. We've had a combat, it's a fairly large fight where there's NPCs in there, and if they die, they're dead. But if they don't die, there's all this dialogue and all these events that happen because they're still alive to push them forward. It's all very systems based.
I really liked that. I noticed when you're talking to someone, there's a little button at the bottom which is attack.
Yeah, on every single dialogue with every single person, there's an attack button.
I know, like, there was one person I was talking to who was clearly a main character, and I attacked her, and she just ran away.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh, okay, probably not going to let me kill her. No, but at least not yet, or whatever. She got out of there real fast. But then there was other characters which you could tell they're more like the kind of minor-ish characters. And it's like, it seemed to be very happy to just let me.
Well, the interesting to note is that, like Divinity, there's what they call origin characters. There's 5 origin characters, and they're the ones that you can recruit to your party, and when it's on full release, you can start a game as them.
Yeah.
And the idea is they have a storyline in place that you can, like, that is directing how you play a little bit, rather than making your own character. All 5 of those characters can die, or you can kill them.
So the main narrative drive through it, given you're playing all these different versions, how much variance is there?
From what I've seen, and I don't know how much it affects what their core narrative's going to be, there's a lot. One of the big ones, without going into like spoilers, there's effectively, within the act, there's 2 main factions. One is what you'd call traditionally bad in a D&D universe. One is kind of good, but also split into like people who are assholes and people who are nice within that faction, and you can side with any of them, and it changes a lot of different things. So you can go off and be like, I'm gonna go side with the goblin people, or like the bad side of things, and just do that, and then that's your storyline. So do
you think it's gonna be like, I'm trying to think of the games like more Fallout 3 or even Fallout 1 and 2, where there was like this narrative running through it, but I didn't give too many fucks. Like, it wasn't the reason I was playing it.
I think what it's going to be is there's going to be a core plot. But how you approach that plot and how you approach whatever the ending or final goal of it is going to be very varied. But that plot's going to exist for you to kind of push along the storyline, no matter how.
The Squid Faces are coming to town. You got to stop Captain Squidface, played by Bill Nye. Pretty good.
Really good.
It's good. And there's a lot of variance and a lot of different things.
So, Larian put out a statement.
They did.
Saying, we have a problem. Too many of you fuckers bought our game. We weren't supposed to.
They broke Steam when it launched. The payment processor collapsed for Steam. So, like...
this thing is now
I paid for the game, and then I waited 20 minutes for it to be added to my account.
So this thing has probably now paid for itself many times over?
Easily, yeah. Because after breaking
it's
Steam...
It's a real Genshin impact.
It broke Larian's account system.
Yeah.
Because they've now set up a new, Larian account.
That's so we can eventually cross-save with the Switch version.
For cross-save with the Stadia version at the moment, which doesn't exist.
Stadia.
No, I'm pronouncing it differently every time.
I like it.
On purpose.
Well, I mean, there's no point. It doesn't exist in 2 months, but... we should really be... That. What site can we bet on the end of Stadia?
I'm sure there'll be some...
I'll find one.
Yeah. It then also broke all their analytics servers. For a little while.
There was that thing with the analytics where they got the average...
Yeah, they have death heat maps, which is nice.
Well,
and they've got the average person, which is just
the average person,
plain old McMahon face,
which is the Whitey McBrown face, like brown hair. I mean, it was amazing how.
I have to wonder how much of that is like people doing what I'm doing, and it's just so many playthroughs.
Well, also, I thought it was interesting because they did post the average man, and it is the most generic looking person ever.
It's the most generic.
But half the responses were like, "Oh, why would people be so boring?" And the others are like, "You're supposed to play yourself, aren't you?"
Yeah, and that was actually
most of the people who are playing.
That was actually one of the interesting takeaways I thought for that conversation. When someone said, "You play what you look like, you play yourself," and
it's a small subset of people who don't.
You often do that.
I rarely do.
I often do that. If I'll pick someone which is like at least vaguely like me. And the
sliders don't go fat enough for me.
the point that this person raised was that if this is how people like to play, why is there not more representation of just regular humans and how they look?
There is a lot.
You sound like one of those reviewers on Squadrons now.
They did do a lot. They did a lot of work to get a lot of regular human looking people.
I haven't actually gone through to see the limits of what you can do with people.
Yeah, there's a limited subset, but I think the idea is that is going to expand as well. Because they took 80 regular looking people, 3D scanned all 80 of them, and made 150 different heads from it for all their races.
Just make a nose slider. That's all you need.
So it is basic at the moment. Where, you pick a head, but you don't pick the individual parts. But history has taught us through character customization. If you give people finite control over that stuff, they make a character that doesn't look realistic in any way because people don't understand how noses and eyes work.
No. Well, what I always find is that when I get one of those character creators that has, it has 7 forehead sliders, okay. And you're like, okay. Yeah, that's really good.
Well,
okay.
It looks good.
It looks great.
Front on.
And then you rotate.
Yeah,
the character creator.
You created the world's greatest monster.
The other thing that a lot of games
I'm beautiful
have an
from one specific angle.
The character creator is in a completely different environment than the game is.
Yeah.
So none of it matches up. Yeah. Lighting or color wise. Hair's the worst one for it. I feel. Hair color never looks the same.
So Larian basically put out a cheeky but true statement where this was supposed to be an early access to help them shape the rest of the game, and everyone bought it already. So it's not like a problem they're legitimately complaining about, but that wasn't really what
they're going to get a lot of analytics and feedback. I'll say that much.
But it is an interesting situation because it's effectively now the game's paid for.
Yeah,
they've sold
they can take as long as they want.
Yeah,
and they will.
And there is still going to be a large cohort of people that didn't want to buy the early access.
Yeah, and console's going to come around eventually and all that kind of stuff.
No console can handle this. I don't know why that's so I just like PC Master Race once in a while. Oh god, with the new consoles coming out, I'm seeing more and more just hardcore fanboys of something gets announced for one. Oh, the other one, shit, this is the truth. Nail in the coffin. And then vice versa the other way. And then, someone smug going, oh, PC Master Race. God, it mostly makes me laugh until once in a while I'm in the wrong mood and then I'm sad. Why are people like that?
I kind of like that now we've got consoles which are kind of doing different things.
Yeah, it's a pretty different landscape.
It's whenever you see those memes that are like, oh, Xbox and Sony and PC, and then Nintendo, and it's the derpy shit. It's look at Nintendo fucking around all their controller design.
And on their pile of money.
You mean innovating and having lots of money? Cool.
Doing exactly what they want to do. And where's the Atari VCS and all of this? So, speaking of new consoles, unless we have any other thoughts on Baldur's Gate before we move on, I realize it's a very big title.
All I'll say is the other funny analytics that's come out yesterday that they pushed out a big death heat map thing, and one of the biggest death spots is where there isn't a combat. It's where you meet one of the Origin characters, and he's a sassy wizard. Apparently, everyone just kills him. So that's an option.
I'm
and
fine
it's one
with
of
a
the
wizard,
main
but a
NPCs.
sassy wizard. Yeah. Okay, so some PS5 news. So there was a Sony posted a little teardown breakdown of the new console.
It was in depth.
And it's almost ASMR-y.
Yeah,
it's great. There's a little bit of English text put on the screen. Now this is on YouTube. You can just put on English subtitles and does all the text, but I liked not knowing mostly.
How's your Japanese going?
I'm terrible. I'm past 100 days in Duolingo now, but I feel like I could communicate nothing. But I can understand bits and bobs, and I think that's how Duolingo kind of
hit
works.
Walls as well.
Yeah. Oh god. And I really need to just start doing some other reading elsewhere because there's just a few basic grammar issues which I go it's a car. Well, I don't. Fuck it. I guess. It's wrong. Next time I'll
watching English stuff with Japanese subtitles. I recommend that. I find that very useful for Spanish. Not for the Japanese subtitles. That'd be useless for Spanish.
That's a weird way to learn Spanish.
That's true. My current plan is to just start putting on Japanese early childhood stuff with Henry around.
Yeah.
And I can learn at the rate of a child, hopefully.
And then your child will grow up speaking only Japanese.
That's the plan.
Yeah, then he teaches Paul.
And you have to learn it.
He'll be the ultimate Cajun. Anyway, so they posted this breakdown. And I'm not huge on things, but the PS5 is so weird looking.
Yeah.
I got to see what it is.
Yeah, how's it built?
Even the layout on the board of here's the chip and here's the memory around it. It's so weird and pretty.
Yeah, and they so they take off the big white plastic bits and they're removable pretty easily. And the stand is quite intricate in the way it changes between vertical and horizontal. It's we have to rotate this bit and you put this in here and then make a magic wish and then now it's horizontal. They were using a liquid metal on the CPU to help
see the sheen.
Yep, for heat transference to the world's biggest fucking heat sink.
Yeah,
half that console is a heat sink.
If you want to know why the sink's so quiet, it's because it's 80% heat sink.
Yeah, we're whoa! When that came out, I mean, I expected. I knew the size was mostly because of cooling, but that heat sink is. I once had a 3 kilo bloody piece of basically copper on top of it. It was that big of fanned up, and that looks small compared to this thing.
I think they had a little port for vacuuming it.
They do.
I thought that was
They've got
really
a dust
cool.
collector and a port to vacuum.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then they
Everyone
put a little.
I've talked to about it has said, that's a good way to get static.
Oh, yeah.
But I think,
I said, modern electronics are probably fine.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing. It's
they've all got shielding, and a little bit of dust ain't gonna do anything.
Yeah, it's
it's an actual dust collector.
Yeah, it's a little collector there, so it's not like you're going to stick it there. It's going to start the fans pulling the other way or anything. They've literally designed it to be vacuumed.
That was cool. I hadn't seen that in hardware before.
At the end, they go dust collected, not guaranteed to collect all dust. It's yeah, of course it is. But we'll just put it there anyway.
People complain.
So yeah, it was a pretty cool little breakdown. I do love that.
And it shows that people will do custom side plates probably.
Most definitely. I mean, even if they weren't easily removable, people would do it.
Oh yeah, but now we know that it's easy.
You can do it without
they just clip on and off.
You just pop them off. It doesn't void any warranties or anything like that.
I never thought about 3D printing ones.
You just need a big 3D printer.
Look at a big labia.
You need a big 3D.
Well, it already looks like a big labia.
Yeah, you could really.
You could color and texture.
I could really get actually that. Because
then if you put your VR cam on top,
it's the clip.
Yeah.
But the VR cam is quite long and
it's
wide.
watching style. Yeah, it's in my head. I'm thinking of a normal
you think like a webcam, not that. But what I was thinking was I could have a frightener's face pushing through the wall. That'd be fun. But the other PS5 news that I was quite excited by. It's not really news. It's just the way things are. Our last time of our buyer's regret. Amazon and other retailers following suit have dropped the price of pretty much all the PS5 games because I'm betting no one was buying them.
Yeah, they're $120.
And now I'm glad I used Amazon, who have their pre-order price guarantee.
So now they're all down to about $90, aren't they?
Most are
somewhere around
Demon's Souls is 110 still.
So Demon's Souls is 110. But weirdly, What was so Godfall? Its base edition is still 125.
Yeah,
with its deluxe still being like 190.
People
or
will
something.
buy it.
Do you really think people will buy Godfall?
I think several people will.
I agree that several people.
Yeah, I guess.
I think,
yeah, those numbers.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I was still shocked when I found out it wasn't free to play. It's like what?
Yeah.
But it's
it's a slicer shooter.
Yeah.
Looter
A
slicer.
I'm wondering if now after Avengers, if people are if publishers are going to get shy on the whole live service thing.
Well, that was this last week. Avengers recorded less than 1,000 simultaneous players on PC.
Yeah, because they don't have crossplay either.
No.
So you're just kind of screwed if you got it on PC.
Yeah. Said like, oh, new updates will bring people back. I'm like,
Do they?
Do they? Is that historically how updates work? I mean, they generally bring some people back, but it's not like. It's normally an outlier when it's like a game is not doing well and then an update comes back that just makes everyone rush back to it.
It's like everyone looked at No Man's Sky and went, we can do that.
Yeah.
We can
we can make her come back.
No one else, not everyone can.
Destiny.
I've been playing a bunch of No Man's Sky.
It's beyond what they first told to us now.
Just to briefly tangent off to No Man's Sky. So,
That's all right.
So I've been playing a bit of it. I finally actually played.
I saw your tweet.
Yeah, I finally played through the main story, and it crashed during the very end. And for anyone who has finished the game, will probably understand it is one of the most appropriate endings.
Having it crash and stop responding.
It's probably the best.
Perfect.
Thematically, nah.
Because it has a different ending to the original now, doesn't it?
Well, it's more.
I believe so, yeah.
It's more the ending is explained, where previously it
just happened.
You get to the center and you boot it back to the beginning.
Yeah, basically.
And now there's like the reason for why that can happen.
Nanobots.
Is in there.
Paul should play it. It's a time loop game. It's just a really long version of Outer Wilds.
So I've been playing a bit of it, and I started to get Cheryl playing it because she finished something recently.
I feel like I know what she was
playing.
She
finished. Oh no, it was
13 Sentinels.
13 Sentinels. Yeah. She finished that, and so she's just looking for something to play. And it's like, well, I've got No Man's Sky sitting there. Like it's updated. You know, you can give it a go. And I thought she'd hate it. I thought that she'd get into it and she'd be like out within like an hour because like the interface is shit. Yeah. And it's been hilarious, like her like bewilderment at how this thing works. Now it's like it's been out for what, like 5-6 years, maybe. I don't know, maybe a little bit less.
5, 6.
Less
no,
than that.
I think
4?
that's 4 sounds about
maybe
right.
4.
Let's find out.
Okay, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah. But it's had a lot of iteration in that time. But in that time, I've internalized how the game works mostly. I will still.
My phone auto-corrected No Man's Sky to No Man's Slut.
Good phone.
Anyway,
and I've got
4 years.
I've gotten used to all the nuance to how that works. Like, mostly, I still hit the wrong button all the time. But for someone who has none of that, it's like she asked me like, how do I do this? And it's like, oh shit, yeah. It's like you've got to put this thing over here, then hit this button.
Pull it out of your muscle memory.
Yeah.
But you should give it VR so she can use the VR interface, which is in some ways better and in some ways worse.
Oh, I find it gives me the bombs.
Just the interface or just the game?
The game.
I liked the game's like weird teleport system.
Yeah, I get the bombs. Yeah, I've tried and it's kind of. I think it's like there's still the vertical movement and.
Not if you use a teleport.
No, I use teleport too, but it ends up being a combination of teleport and jumping a little bit. But yeah, it's good. Like that game though, like it's been interesting watching someone play it who hasn't played it before. So all this effort they've put into improving the interface actually has been rubbish, and all they've done is improve it for people who could figure out how to use it in the first place. But for a new user, it's terrible. But they're still like that game is crazy. Like in terms of like shit you see, like it will still. I'll land on a planet, and there'll be something there. They'll be like, I haven't seen that. I've played countless hours of this game.
Have you got any worms yet?
I haven't seen giant worms. I've now seen
just the small ones.
Just the small ones in your store.
Oh, I've seen like little land fish things. So they're kind of going through the dirt. They were never in there before.
I do like the worms thing because it's like, well, we had them, and then it just turned out to not be fun to just be there and be instantly killed by a giant worm coming up from under the sand. Like, but everyone wants them back.
Yeah. It sounds like the best time.
I really hope that they just keep adding to this thing. I think that's what they're going to do. Yeah. Like, because now I've finished through the main story, and I'm only just getting onto like the water stuff. I still haven't built a single exocraft, and so it's like, well, I guess I can go build myself a submarine now. That sounds like a fun thing to do.
A lot of cool shit.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
It is.
We can make ourselves a little planet together.
Well, the one thing they don't have, I really want, is social bases.
I thought they had that.
No. It's still all instance. I think that's the
the
one.
base system's very strange.
That's the one thing I think that would like really like, because then you could have actual people making things.
Like, I think the way it works, right, is if you're in multiplayer and you're all building stuff, whatever you build is just kind of like your thing, like Fallout 76 is actually, and then like
if you're
like,
if you log off, your part of the base is like,
it's a bit funny because if you're in the same party, it appears.
Yeah.
I was playing, because she's playing on PS4, I'm playing on PC. There was one part where I just got a mission to the system she was in, but we weren't in a party.
Right.
And so I went to the system while she was playing, and we couldn't see each other. So it's still like
you have to be grouped
up before so you'll never run into a player.
So you're saying it's still a lie?
Yeah, yeah, basically,
pretty much. Fucking
it's, no man's lies.
Bloody Sean Bean. Kill him. Yeah. Anyway, No Man's Sky. That's cool.
Yeah, pick it up if it's ever cheap. It's pretty amazing, that game.
So yes, PS5 games are cheaper again. That's good, and hopefully they'll remain as such. Ghost of Tsushima news came out that got me excited and then got me sad.
I see it's got dog features.
Yes.
And then does the dog die?
So the new patch allows you to pet dogs and they become your allies.
But they can die?
No, they always could, and they still can. So that's no change. They said, in New Game Plus, you'll be able to pet the dogs. I'm not finishing that fucking game.
Wow.
I should be like...
Putting dog petting behind
finishing...
like gatekeeping the dog petting is a new low.
Yeah, it's like, what? Who okayed
I would take
this?
not petting the dog over that.
This is fucking bullshit, I'm telling you. Anyway, and also, if you play it on the PS5, it will run at 60 frames and a few other little boost modes, things. So my plan was kind of, if there was a PS5 gap and I want to play a AAA thing, I might get Ghost of Tsushima for it.
Did you see the Bloodborne thing?
The person that made the PS4 patch.
The 60 frames a second mod. Yeah. And then he's gone, well, I'm going to let Sony try and do this officially, but if they don't, I'll release it.
Yeah, his response, because that's sort of how people reported it. No. And his response was like, that really makes me sound like a jerk. I did not mean it like that. I was just like...
He wants Sony to do it. Yeah. Because he knows that if he does it, it's probably not going to be good. Like,
well, and also
maybe potentially legally not great.
Yeah. Also, that it's like the only people that get it are people that can mod in some way and everything. So
please do it officially.
Yes,
it's easy. I did it.
We heard that PT is going to make its way over to PS5. So I checked, and I still have PT installed on my PS4.
Get it on your PS5.
So
It'll live on.
I will transfer it. Load it over.
It's funny because if you remember, I don't really like PT that much. No. I liked things about it, but I thought it played kind of like shit. But I'm like, I'll never delete it.
Well, I actually did check like what they're going for, and they're actually not that expensive. Like to buy a PS4
with PT
on it, but you give that another 5-6 years.
We'll see.
We'll see with that PT.
The PT investment.
That's the real. I'll seal my PS5 in Nyla. I mean my 4. Yeah. So.
Well, we should be able to transfer it.
Should be able to. Let's find out. Yeah. We talked about that. In very big news, Bugsnax has gone gold.
Have you bought it?
No, because I'll get it for PS5, I think.
God, the PS5's getting close.
It is.
Yeah. It is. They're both...
It's a month.
They're both
not very far away.
Both consoles are less than a month away.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was like looking at my balance of budget because I got a few things that I know are like coming up cost-wise. Yeah. And I was like, wait, shit, PS5's got to be on that list. Yeah. Because that's very soon. And Amazon haven't taken my money yet. So
Bugsnax is coming out on launch day for PS5. So that's the real killer app.
Console seller.
So my plan has been to play Cyberpunk on PS5. And I recently found out that
it's not technically a PS5 release.
PS5
which I mean, okay. Here's where I don't get to do my normal thing of, James, we've spoken about this explicitly on the show. We haven't. But it's been known for a very long time.
Well, when I was looking up like the info stuff from like May, June.
But James doesn't
but
watch these
it's
things. He gets all his info from me, and then he forgets it, and then he finds it all again.
Yeah,
6
it's beautiful.
months
I
later.
get to discover so many
Paul,
things.
why didn't you tell me this?
So I don't know if they've said anything about running at a high frame rate, at least on PS5.
They haven't confirmed.
There's
the
a very
details of
loose
it.
statement of it'll run better.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it will, even if they haven't done anything to it.
Yeah. I want to play it at 60 at least.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
But there was a generalized statement about it getting a patch on PS5 and then an actual PS5 release next year.
That game, I want to play it on a big, nice TV. I think it'll look good on a big, nice TV.
Probably.
Okay, James, if you want to guarantee that you can run it at 60 or whatever, I'll buy you a long HDMI cable for your computer. It is literally in the same room as your big TV.
It's true.
It's just on the other side of it.
Yeah, it means the cable's gonna... I have to plug the cable in.
I was actually talking about this at work with Cal, and he's like, "Why doesn't he just get a cable?" Because he'd have to run it.
Because it's James.
He'd have to
There'd be a cable across
He'd have
his
to
house.
lean behind the TV. He's got some boxes that would have to go behind. I mean, he could just put it on top, which he probably would listen.
When he's setting up the PS5,
there's a piano. It's got to go behind the piano.
to do all of that anyway.
Oh, he won't.
With the PS5.
No.
Someone's got to plug that in.
He's just going to rub it next to a PowerPoint and say, good
that
enough
work?
for
Why
me.
isn't it
Is it all wireless now? I just jam it into the screen.
James has some things he's just... There's just this gap in his like ability area where it's like, requires bending over and reaching for something. I think it could just... I've dropped some ice cream on the floor and I could pick it up, but eventually... all biological matter does sort of degrade.
Look, Paul,
so
I pick my
that's
battles,
fine.
all right? Like
Yeah.
I know what's important to me,
I
I spend my energy accordingly.
Yeah, I don't mean you're a lazy person. You work very hard, but just some areas extremely lazy.
Very selective.
Yeah. I could move it, but time makes fools of us all.
So when my Quest for whatever reason stops working properly, I will go through all of the options I can on my
you have to
computer
reach for a cable?
before I have to go. Fine, I'm gonna get under, unplug it. I'll be opening up control panels. I'll be disabling devices. Anything I can do for like a software reset. Before I go to the effort of getting under that desk.
This was kind of exactly what I was thinking. It's like I will spend 20 hours writing specific software to make sure that I don't have to remove a cable.
I don't want to go onto that desk. I got to get down on my knees.
I'll get bad knees if I get on my knees, and computer can't fix that.
So one of the things my grandpa used to always say to me, he said that you get old when you bend down to pick something up and you think, what else can I do while I'm down here? And there's always that in the back of my mind. I'm almost scared. It's like, what if I get down there and I start looking around? I've crossed the threshold.
So James, you're gonna be youthed again shortly when your child arrives, because children are all near the ground, and you need to be on the ground quite a lot.
I'm just gonna stay there.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I go like, okay, I'll put some toys on the ground. I'll put a little book there. I'll make sure my phone's in reach as well, because he might just start entertaining himself, and I can do something for Paul. Okay, so there's 3 things I can do on the floor. Okay. It's like, let's play, let's read a book, and now daddy time. Ooh, Reddit.
I heard those little baby bouncer thing you've got out there, referred to as a neglectatron.
Certainly, any of those things could be used as such.
Yeah, because I think I've been told that they're very good for just putting the kid in and they'll entertain themselves. And you go
depends the kid, depends on the thing. And often, it also depends on the kid. In the experience of my child, and we're not going to make this a child podcast.
I think we just did.
Oh God, it's begun.
It's begun, yeah.
I have to go.
No, I'm sorry, man.
No.
We have a new cat. It's basically the same thing. There's toys all over our floor.
It's exactly the same, yeah.
You have to stay on the floor sometimes. I know what you're talking about.
Henry will entertain himself. In fact, one of his favorite things is just to be outside looking at the sky, but you have to be within shot of him. Because if you get too far away, he's left alone in the universe. It's like me when someone's not paying me attention. Devastation hits in very quickly. And I start to contemplate my own existence and place in the universe. And like, shit, why isn't somebody looking at me? And it's hard. It's hard being Paul or a baby. Very similar things. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh, that's right. So this was my next funny thing.
James
So
is Cyberpunk.
I was saying
the
that,
kickoff for the people.
oh yeah, Cyberpunk. So yeah, the official word as it is. So the next gen consoles do not have a next gen version of Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It's supposed to run better. We don't know what that means yet. If it's not detailed beforehand, wait for a release. You can wait a day.
Yeah, that's kind of my plan.
Yeah, they're supposed to run better on it. Both supposed to release some sort of little patch within a shorter time frame, and then next year both get free upgrades to an actual next gen version, which will have some ray tracing features and stuff like that on the consoles. I think those additions they're saying also aren't in the PC version yet, and it'll also be rolled in the PC version. So basically, if you buy it now, you will still get the best version. Which is nice. CD Projekt has a huge history of doing that. I mean, they're doing it for Witcher 3 as well.
Yep. Oh, really?
All the
Yeah.
RTX updates.
Yep, they're
It's all
gonna
free.
They're gonna roll it all in console versions. If
That's
you
cool.
own it, you get the latest version. They said like, how can we make goddamn, who makes Remedy? How can we make Remedy look like
bad.
jerks?
Yeah.
That's how we'll do it. Okay, but then the next funny piece of news I had was Bugsnax was gold, and then Squadron 42 has been delayed again.
Oh, no way.
It had a release date? No. Just had a feeling that maybe one day... They'd released a feeling that one day it would be released. And they thought, we should revoke that feeling. So if you've somehow forgotten, Squadron 42 is Star Citizen's actual game that they were supposed to make that
And
then
they
led
still
on
aren't
to
doing.
Star Citizen.
Yeah. I don't know if the community will eventually turn. Like, if it will hit a point.
The people that haven't already turned years ago
Yeah.
and just made it the punchline of everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think there'll
know.
always
think
be
the
the people that have put $40,000 in.
The people that are diehards, I think, are just now they are a cult.
I did
Yeah.
find a streamer the other day that does Star Citizen streams, and she spends all of her time just doing load of ground flights,
Oh,
which apparently is quite fun.
the most-
She was having a good time,
the most fascinating
just
Star
doing like
Citizen-
high speed, basically pod racing on an empty planet.
Does she try spinning?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good
it was
trick.
like all doing all maneuvers
it's a
and
good
everything. She was
trick,
having
yeah.
it was like 3 hours. I didn't watch for 3 hours, but she was live for 3 hours.
The most fascinating
strange.
Star Citizen YouTube channel I found was an architect reviewing ships. And so he walks through the ship from an architect's perspective, talking about the space
design.
layout and like
Okay.
where everything is. And the guy knows his shit. And it's like it's fascinating. It's like
Star Citizen is not a game; it is a producer of content. And soon it will be going for long enough that we can get like history buffs on it and stuff.
Yeah.
Archaeologists
The history
ready to
is
go.
yeah. Well, in other funny news, Crucible has been cancelled.
Cancelled.
So Crucible, which was
Released,
unreleased, put into closed beta access, and finally
It's basically
cancelled.
the Benjamin Button of video
The
games.
Yeah, it
shortest
did, it did.
turnaround ever.
Yeah,
as well.
it's going to be announced next week. Yeah, that game. It's. Did any of us actually get to play it?
No, I missed.
From the people that I respect that played it and spoke about it, it basically seemed like a game that there was nothing specifically wrong with any one part of it. Just none of those parts were designed together.
From what I've heard, like you could tell the devs put a lot of love and effort
Yeah.
into it. And apparently, a lot of those devs didn't know it had been cancelled until they were told the day of. The same as the
Until
rest of
they
us.
saw everyone making jokes
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it. Oh, good, my
So, like,
livelihood.
they didn't know it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I think most of them have been shifted back onto the engine stuff now.
Yeah, so that was Amazon's weird battle royale live service game thing that really I can't summarize it because it lacked an identity,
Yeah.
which is the entire problem. Anyway, and I think I have one more little slice of news here. Microsoft said that next year they'll be releasing a browser-based version of xCloud. And they basically said with that, yeah, we're going to be on iOS one way or the other.
Oh, so yeah. Yeah, fair.
Even if you have to go to a website to do it.
Yeah, which is what
It's the workaround.
It's what I didn't realize that a lot of services, like that we just use on my phone and everything, that you can't sign up to them with the apps on iOS. You have to go like, oh, by the way, if you actually want to pay for this, you got to open a web browser. And I was like, yep, yeah, I guess, yeah.
It'd be funny if we have a return to the web app.
Yep.
Like if we go back to that original. Remember iPhone 1 when it came out?
Interesting
And
to note.
The reason they couldn't put apps on it was because everything would be a web app.
Yeah. There are a lot of, like, pretty much the entire gacha game universe. Like, not some of the big ones like Fate, but a lot of that world where there's hundreds of the same game floating around in Japanese culture. they're all web apps.
Oh yeah, they're just like
every single one.
Everything's
is a
just a
web app.
wrapper around a web app, isn't it? Yeah.
It was like half those because there was one I was playing for quite a while, and I just thought to play it on my computer.
So I think where Xbox might struggle with at least iOS is that I'm fairly sure there's no way to get the browser to read controller support unless that's added somehow.
I'm sure they'll figure that away.
Well, it depends.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well,
or they just won't bother with controller support.
yeah,
on it.
I mean, it's just touch or something.
Yeah. I mean that's because
just
the iOS
Mozilla or Google some
Yeah.
money to put it into Chrome or Firefox
Yeah.
and say, well, you have to use Firefox on iOS to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the iOS version of Genshin doesn't have controller support, does it?
No.
Yeah,
Which
but
was
the Android
weird.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't get the Genshin one. It's very strange.
it's a web it's a website. Okay, so that is things. Okay, I think that's all the things that count somewhat as news. I'm gonna come in before we go talk to the other game that Paul didn't play. That's big.
I forgot to put something on my list. I just realized.
That's all right. We got time to talk.
Yeah.
Too bad.
It'll take me one sentence.
It's not on the list.
Do you want to cut in with your one sentence?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have, and I'm playing Crash 4. It's Crash.
Oh,
It's a Crash game, but
And-
it's a really well-built Crash game.
and I have to eat a little hat on it because I was of the belief that whilst it was nothing against the game, that I didn't expect it would do particularly well because I thought most of the sales of the Crash trilogy would just be from nostalgia and people really
not.
don't care that. But it did very well sales-wise.
And
So-
it is good. Like, if you like the Crash games, it is more of that, and they've iterated and done a good job with it.
Do you like the Crash games, James?
I do like the Crash games.
Oh, I thought you were going to say no, and I
No.
was going to say me too. But
I really enjoyed Crash
I
1.
don't dislike them now. After I got the trilogy, I'm like, oh, these are actually better than I remembered. But
I don't
still
think
don't care that much.
I don't think I played beyond Crash 1, but I enjoyed Crash 1.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, good
And
job.
that's that. Yeah,
Paul's
small
wrong
Crash.
and unpopular. Okay, so I have been playing I Am Dead. I Am Dead is who was the other? Oh yeah, that's right. Creator of Ho Hokum. Do you remember Ho Hokum?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good work.
That's a weird.
Like floaty sneaky one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
yeah,
an
yeah,
LSD trip.
Yeah.
And the guy that made Wilmot's Warehouse.
That I don't remember.
It's a warehouse about sorting and organizing a warehouse.
Yeah.
I think it's on.
As
It was on.
warehouses tend
It was
to
on
be.
Game Pass at some point. It might still be. Maybe you like it. You have to organize all the symbols.
Oh.
It's like, how will I organize this by shape or color? Oh no. So this game is a bit of an oddity. It's basically a hidden object game. So you are an old man who's died, and you live on a quaint town on an island with a volcano in the middle. And your dead dog, Sparky, talks to you and says, oh, the volcano is going to explode. And because the caretaker has gone missing or something. Who's the caretaker? It's a ghost that looks after the island. Oh, we'll have to find them. Now I'm no super genius. I haven't finished this game, but I'm going to eat that hat that I was supposed to eat in the last segment. Oh my god, you're the new caretaker at the end of the game? Wow.
What a
Welcome
shocking
to
twist.
writing fucking boring 101.
What if the dog is?
Well, okay, here's my... I've got two things... I'm going to start with what I hate about this game. I hate two things major. One, the voice acting is really naff. It's like young people doing old person voice. It's like, oh, well, yes, Sparky, we'll have to go and check out the thing. It's like, yeah, okay, I can do this without sound, thank you. I'll just read the text. The side voices are actually quite good, but the main two, I'm just like, fucking, no, you guys aren't good. And then the portrait used for the dog. Don't know if they've ever seen a dog before. Don't know what that is. It's hard to turn Paul off with a dog thing. I'm like, yep, that looks like kind of like a cloud with like a snout coming out of it, and it looks
dog.
but it looks sick at the same time. But I don't know what shape that's supposed to be. It doesn't look like a dog, but I do quite like the game. Its main gimmick is being able to do cross sections of 3D objects.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
remember this
you're
now.
looking around. I just make up anything. It's like, I want to find an ancient arrowhead. And someone's like, oh, yes, they used to shoot people in the head back in the old days. So you look around and you go into the ground and you zoom into the ground. And as you zoom in, it cuts in half and you can start see there. And you say, hey, there's a skull over there. Now I'll zoom into the skull, and as I get closer to it, it starts sliding away layers of the skull so you can see internally, and there's an arrowhead stuck in the middle of the skull. You go, hey, I found the arrowhead. Good. Now I can talk to this person some more and find out why they're not going to be the next caretaker, and it's going to be me. There's some weird inconsistencies because you can sort of see how they built it. So say like there's a boat that I zoomed in on, and I'm zooming in on it, and it cuts in half. But then inside the boat, they've made basically a small vignette, which is this room with some tables and everything around it. And because they want you to see that, and they don't want you to just zoom in past it, that can't bisect. So it's not 100% consistent about what can be looked through and what can't. It's not a big problem. It's just sometimes you try to do a thing and it's like, oh, it doesn't work for this item. But you do spend a lot of time in the game just like, okay, I'm looking for this. I know it's not over there, but that's a clock. I want to see what a clock looks like if I cut it in half. So finding like odd objects and odd combinations and just cutting into them is kind of just fun on its own. It's fun to explore and look around because there's some... Like the first area you explore is a lighthouse that's a yoga studio, and it's got a lot of fully animated characters in it. Like they're around doing their yoga, and they actually will move between rooms and everything. And I suppose it's a little bit Psychonauts because the main conceit is that you're trying to talk to these ghosts in each area, and they're sort of hidden. You've got to find objects that relate to them. So there'll be, I think it's always 5, I'm not sure, 5 people in each area that have a memory of the person. And then you look at the memory and you then you work out the object. And when you look at the memories, you zoom in on the person and it's some weird, they tell a story while you basically fast forward through gibberish in their mind until it forms an image. And it's not, there's no real gameplay to it. You just like hold forward until the controller vibrates or it clarifies an image and then you stop and but it takes about as long as the dialogue, so they've timed it at the right time. But it is just like some fun busy work while you're listening to the story. And as I said, the side stories are well voiced. Just the main 2 characters that suck. So I'm about halfway through the game.
What are you playing this on?
I'm playing on Switch. I think it was about $25, $30 game.
I was wondering if it's on Game Pass.
Yeah. I don't believe it's... I can't speak. It's not on Game Pass. I haven't seen it on Game Pass, but it might be on PC as well. It's certainly a very chill game you just go into. There is one layer where I found like this riddles, and I don't know how to solve them. I'm like, I've 100% of everything else except for this one entire part of the game. I'm like, I don't know. I thought I did the thing that I'm supposed to do. I'm not understanding something, and other than the initial explanation, there's nothing there. So it's probably enough people played it enough that I can go and just look online now and say, what have I missed? What did I understand? But no, it's fun to explore or look around the world. It's well laid out. It's well paced. It has 2 shitty main characters, and then the characters are fun. The voice acting is
the writing's fine,
annoying,
the voice acting.
And the drawing of the dog is dumb.
That's some harsh criticism from Paul.
Yeah, just wait.
Oh, you're going to bring up...
Show us.
Yeah,
okay, I've probably got the game still loaded. Let's see if that fucking dog picture is up. and we'll get your reaction live and see if I'm...
All right, we'll have a look at this dog picture.
Can I bring it up in any way?
How do you show me the dog picture?
See,
now the idea...
Where you could easily screenshot something that you wanted to show someone at some point.
I might have screenshotted it actually, because I thought of that very same reason.
Thing
so
you could do.
From Paul's description, the way I visualize this is
I'm
basically...
thinking of just someone doesn't know how to draw ghosts and try to apply that to a dog.
I envision a cloud, like a little fluffy cloud. I don't want to look at it yet. Wait, okay, now I'll look at it. Okay, I didn't expect that. That looks like a...
Wait.
It looks...
Okay. Now that I look closer, I can see how it's a dog. But from back here, it was a pink elephant.
What?
I hate that drawing.
Can I get a closer?
Yeah, like...
What it is, it's a dog with clouds for a chin. It's got like the fur, but they've drawn it like a cloud.
And with a weird snout. Yeah. Snouts don't work like that.
It's much closer to wolf-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little wolfy,
but
still shit.
Yeah, from back here it looked like an elephant.
A yoga center run by a robot. How things change. Seems to be working out though. So, pizza ghost.
Do the flexibles.
yeah. So after the Yoda guy dies, it's now run by a robot. So it's like actually that is the weird thing. So most of the people are just people, and then I say the first level has a robot, and then they're just like weird monster people around. I don't understand. It's like it's quite whimsical. Like it does come. I think the artist is the Ho Ho Come guy, I believe, which is an LSD trip. Yeah. And he can't draw dogs. So
it's his Achilles heel.
He just hears that clip of me saying, and he can't draw dogs. It's just like single tear rolls down his cheek. But yeah, it's an interesting game. I haven't finished it yet. As I say, super casual. It's basically hit all, and so finding objects, and then the next layer is you got to find these gremlins that all look like penises. And then I'll take a screenshot of that. I'll show you later.
Yeah.
But those are, to find them, you don't find the objects. You find the shape in objects. So you like look at the shape you're supposed to find and go like, okay, what in this scene? Because it's always limited to just one scene. You don't have to search the whole world to find them. What in this scene could be that from the right angle, and then that. So it's like abstract geometric thinking as well. I would say it's chill. I like it. Okay, let us talk about.
Chips challenge.
I was going to say lower decks. Star Wars Squadrons.
Yes, so that came out now a couple of weeks ago ish, and so I picked it up pretty quickly because I was lucky enough to get into the early private beta, and I played a bit of it, and I loved it, and so I've been pretty keen on this thing finally coming out. It is the Star Wars flight sim that at least I personally have been wanting probably since TIE Fighter. Probably TIE Fighter. I didn't really get into X-Wing versus TIE Fighter because I believe there's much of a story in it. I'm pretty sure X-Wing versus TIE Fighter was more of a competitive thing.
Doesn't this story start with someone defecting?
It does, yeah.
That made me angry.
No,
it's not the core of it, but I was just
narratively it's structured by let's do a bunch of rebel stuff, then let's do a bunch of Empire stuff, and kind of bounces between the two. Like the guy, the part of me that just loves Empire shit. I just basically want just all Empire, please, and just do away with all this rebel crap.
Well, the rebels are the most boring.
They are.
They always are.
First I like the gameplay, the flight model. Just from the demo, I love it. So the difference when I was playing this one was that I got a chance to play it in VR, where originally that wasn't available. I would say it's my favorite VR experience.
It's a big
I'd probably say, I'm thinking about, is it my favorite VR? Yes. I think because it really uses VR to add a lot to it. Like when you're in the cockpit, takes a little bit. It's just sort of like eyes adjusting to not kind of shift focus, like the things in the distance, because you can't focus. But generally, the layout is pretty good. Where it works really well is you can track. So if I'm fighting something and there's something up here, I look at it and then I track it as it comes into my center vision.
Can't do that in TIE Fighter.
No, you cannot do that in a TIE Fighter, which is like and that actually really surprised me because with the TIE Fighter, it's actually just a small window, and like you've got like the tiniest little bit you can see up the top. But I kind of like that. It's like there's actual physical things which
I think that is what is so good about the game. And I'm speaking from someone that hasn't played it. I'm just looking at it from someone that has seen it. And so when you're making a Star Wars flight game, you don't just get to make a flight game. I heard some criticisms about the VR, and it's like, there's been better VR flight games, like that you can't even like aim with your eyes and stuff like that.
Why would I be aiming with my eyes?
Because it makes no sense. It's Star Wars, and that's not how they work. You come to this game with the limitations that Star Wars provides, which TIE Fighters get no fucking visibility.
I have no peripheral vision.
That's just how they're designed.
The world has decided a lot of the mechanics.
Yes, exactly.
If I'm in an X-Wing, I can see everywhere. It's amazing. So the VR experience I love. And just that feeling of sitting in the cockpit, it feels amazing. Out of the box, the HOTAS support, pretty good. I
thought it was shit at the beginning, and then they fixed it. They had like a 20% dead zone in the middle.
My HOTAS,
or maybe yours was always.
Mine
good.
was fine.
James has a good HOTAS.
I have a cheap common one, so presumably they tuned it for this one.
It's not good.
No, it's fine. So I had to change what your was versus pitch, but that's just more of a personal preference thing. Still have the problem of there being buttons I need to take the headset off to look. It's like, what was that one then to do this particular thing? I can't quite remember. So there's still a little bit of that. But the actual controls and the button use, they found this like really beautiful balance of like, it's not Elite Dangerous in terms of like flight model. It's still quite arcadey, but then it's also not, like
it's not just point and shoot.
It's not like Star Fox or something. Like it's
not like Sky Squadron.
Like it's not like Sky Squadron.
The second best VR experience you can have.
Like it's got enough that I can be flying. I can be being chased by someone. I can then divert power to the rear shields. I can then put all my energy into maneuverability. I can do a boost. I can disable assists, flip around. Like, it's got enough for that.
So, I want to ask you whether my impression of this is correct. Because I've been liking listening to other people speak of it, and I feel there's sort of two camps. There's people that played TIE Fighter or X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, and they really, really generally like this game, think, oh well, it's a pretty good successor. There's a few changes, but you know that. And then there's people that have heard about X-Wing and X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, and say, oh, it's not a real sim like that game. They don't understand the original game. Like, sure, it's got things like diverting power, but not the other things. And then I ask, what are the other things? And they say, oh, you can divert power in the first game.
Yeah. In fact, I didn't actually load up the old games, but I did go look at some old screenshots to get some comparison. And it 100% is just the old games modernized, like in terms of the complexity. It's like
with some bigger set pieces and stuff in the single player. Because by default, if you're playing with a controller, you can divert power basically like to extremes. You're like put them all here, put them all there. Except there's an advanced mode where you do it much more finite.
I don't see why you'd bother.
You can if you're a crazy person that really want to.
Yeah,
because that's where they designed it around.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know how that works, because the mode switches actually turn on and off abilities as well. Like, you can't boost unless you've got power into engines, and you don't have extra shields unless you put power into extra shields. So I don't know what that granularity means.
Maybe there's just a threshold for those.
Maybe, yeah.
What I liked hearing was the flight model. So there was an interesting balance of maneuverability, and they made the ship most maneuverable at 50% speed.
Yes, yep. And that's actually a pretty common thing, where they'll be basically not moving dogfight mode, which is where you're kind of in the middle, and then getting the fuck out of here mode, where you lose the maneuverability. So, like, I found with the HOTAS, I do kind of go in between. I'll be like, most of the time I'll sort of just be in the mid, because that's when you got the most maneuverability. Yeah. But every now and then it's like, no, I just want to drop off to like 25% speed, because I'm trying to tail someone. I don't care as much about having the maneuverability. But it's really does a great job at giving me the decisions that I want to make without being overwhelming and being a sim. It's not like with Elite, where it's like you disable assists and basically you're suddenly all over the place.
To do everything.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, like full Newtonian physics, I'm fucked. Where this one's more, well, look, while boosting, you can basically hit a button to disable them for a little bit. And do your maneuver. But then you're back to,
we're back to what we were saying before, where it still has to be Star Wars, which is World War II dogfighting is its base, and then it has a few things. And they had to add the slide because they did the slide in the movie.
And that's, I mean, otherwise, why even bother? If you're going completely like fly by wire, it's like, well, you might as well be flying in atmosphere. So you still want to have a little bit of spaciness in it. But
you want to be able to do a handbrake turn in space.
Pretty much.
And then, of course, I mean, they dared to only have one white character.
Oh, that was the weirdest thing. So, I honestly, I only noticed it once someone pointed it out to me, because I was just like reading. I just wanted to go, oh, what are the reviews of this game looking? And then I'd see that one where it's like, full of SJW cucks. It's like, it's only one white person in here. The rest is all women and Asians. And then like, I looked at the game. I'm like, oh yeah, they're right. It is predominantly.
You have technically isolated the fact there is only one white man choice. In a game where you never see your character.
It's just like, of all the things to complain about, it kind of took me by left field. Like, oh, well, I guess. But
people are weird.
yeah, it's such a strange thing to give a shit about. So in the missions in between, you've got like all your conversations with people. They're probably the bits I care the least about. Like it kind of like throws you in the hangar, and it's like, hey, go talk to this person, and then there's a bit of dialogue, but you can't say anything. But they talk to you like you're talking
responding
to them.
back.
So
yeah.
they're still
It's
like
that
talking
Gordon
to you.
Freeman thing.
We can't be here gabbing all day. Like, I've said literally nothing. And it's a bit annoying that if you do the briefing and you load back in, it doesn't save your progress through talking, so you got to go back and do the briefings again. And so that stuff I'm kind of neither here nor there about. I haven't even touched on like customization and stuff like that. There's a lot of it. Like even just looking at, there's some missiles you get which are more about disabling versus damage and things like that.
Have you done much multi?
I haven't even touched it yet. I'm really at the moment more interested in just playing.
I hear it's the kind of game where you like ace in single player and like, I'm going to be great, and then you just get owned immediately.
Well, when I was playing in the beta, I actually did all right. I don't know once people have been playing for a while. I actually have found my many hours in Elite Dangerous have given me some skills with the HOTAS. And that's part of, like, there's certain games I play, like No Man's Sky, I never get the feel of flight. It's like me with a joystick, and I'm porting the joystick where I want to go. There's enough going on with Squadrons, especially with even just like an $80 HOTAS. Though apparently they're rare as hen's teeth now. These things, everyone's been buying HOTAS because of Flight Simulator and now Squadrons. It does give me that feel of flight. I feel like I'm in control of a vehicle. I'm in control of the aircraft. And then being in VR, where you've got that extra, like that level of situational awareness, it's like, it's just sort of like the icing on the cake. As long as you're in something with an open cockpit, otherwise you're kind of fucked.
Staring at a dinner plate window.
So after Squadron's seemingly successful release and positive reaction, EA of course came out and said, by the way, we're not doing nothing else with this game. This is it.
We're not adding anything.
Nothing.
You said you didn't want microtransactions in the game, so we're doing nothing.
Yeah, which I'm kind of fine with.
Yeah, I'm kind of...
I'd like to see a Squadrons 2, which is a little bit more like slightly larger scope in a couple of years.
Yeah, I was sort of a bit torn on it because I don't want this game to just sort of like die off. I'd like them to at least give it enough support that there's a community around it.
I'd like if the PC version was moddable in a way. That was just like the community can just keep content going for that stuff. Because I'm sure, let's see, a good Star Wars game.
Let's have a 12 Falcon dogfight.
Yeah, well, exactly, shit like that.
Yeah.
Let me control the Star Destroyer.
Yeah. Now let's put in the Enterprise.
You finally.
But yeah, it was an interesting take. Like on one hand, I'm glad that they're not like running this thing into the ground. There's not like all these really manipulative systems in there that should just kind of be gross.
Feed your TIE fighters into another TIE fighter, up your TIE fighter
like
level.
The loot system, there's no loot system. It's just like you just unlock shit and customize. But I just would like there to be a life for this thing because I think it deserves it. Like it is the game that I think anyone that was a fan of X-Wing TIE Fighter, it's the game which we've been wanting. Like it's it, and I'd like that to either keep supporting it or give us more down the line.
Yeah,
I'll maybe roll into next Battlefront.
You played it as well, didn't you?
I played a little bit,
but then Baldur's Gate 3
came out. But I did enjoy what I played. Like. I did the tutorial and like an idiot didn't use my controller and it was terrible.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even touch this thing with a mouse and keyboard.
This is far better.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
It was okay
because I think I gave it a go with a controller and it's fine. Like it's still not.
It's much better at the controller.
It's perfectly playable. Like it's fine.
I'm terrible with the HOTAS. I'm sure I'd be better with
you probably would.
Keyboard and mouse is okay.
Yeah.
But my brain doesn't like how the mouse movement works for ship flight. It just doesn't have that connection. Whereas at least with a joystick you have a connection.
Just when I think like because like it's really important for me to have the yaw.
Yeah.
And so it's like you can rotate and kind of twist your wrists. Like basically you can control all three axes in the one go.
Whereas it's split across. Even with a controller, I find it kind of. The one annoying thing I've got that I probably have to change is like because the left analog stick at the moment is roll and thrust.
Oh yeah, it's a bit weird and confusing.
That's the default setup.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to roll, you accidentally change your thrust percentage, and it just gets weird. But it's fun.
I'd almost prefer to roll with like shoulder buttons or something.
Yeah. I've looked at getting like a fancier HOTAS, but when you get fancy, they actually lose the the twist, because that's not.
It's not how they work.
You meant to have pedals. Basically, you should have pedals. That's how you're moving that rudder on the back. So I think it's funny. Like the more expensive ones, actually, you lose out that kind of granularity.
Not if you get pedals.
Well, then I just have to get pedals. So if I'm going to get an expensive HOTAS, then I might as well just get an expensive HOTAS. Yeah.
Why don't you start getting all the switches and everything set up in a fake radio?
No, that's getting too expensive.
One of those, and then we'll just
the arcade. Dogfight chairs
the three
that throw you around to the G-force.
Well, the ones that go 360.
Oh, yeah.
Good. And then tie it all up with a Steel Battalion controller.
Yeah. I think if I had the room, I wouldn't mind getting at least a basic rig with pedals and a decent joystick. I don't think I'd go when people get into all the instruments for Flight Simulator. I don't think.
What if we got you a full setup for Sega Bass Fishing?
Or I could just go fishing.
Yeah, you can do this.
Then you'd have to go somewhere.
Oh, but James, what if we could give James the full fishing experience without having to leave the home?
Nah.
Leaving the home's the whole point.
I still think we need to develop
getting away from the screen is the point.
So that he can go fishing and catch fish. Even if there's nothing to catch.
AR fishing would be good. It'd be a real gotcha mechanic.
Just Pokemon Go fishing.
Yeah. Okay, so otherwise, I've been playing a bunch of demos. A few that I thought I'd point out here that I thought were very interesting in one way or another. Conscript was a game. I linked James to it yesterday. It is a 90s ass PC game with just the perfect amount of low color bit depth and pixelation. Now you are a soldier in, I think it's World War One. I actually didn't really. I'm not very good with wars. There's trenches and dead horses. So
it probably sounds like one.
Yeah, trenches were in one.
There was
they had trenches.
Yeah, most wars have trenches.
Not the Emu War. I got you there, idiot.
That's why we lost.
So this game, you're in the trenches, and you've got at first you got to run forward. It's sort of top down, and you got to run forward. You got to reload some machine guns. Pretty much, it's pretty horrific around you. Everyone's just wounded and dying, and there's rotting corpses and everything. It's this is pretty unsettling. Now,
sounds like war.
The major inspiration of this game, which you may not have got from the screenshots you saw, James, is Resident Evil. It is very much a go to a save point and use a match to save a candle and go get a weird item that has a code and run somewhere else. It's very bodgy 90s era combat, which basically when you get a bat at first and just I'm just going to stand there swinging and hopefully you die before I die.
Is it supernatural?
I believe there are supernatural elements. In fact, yeah, I've certainly, I've killed some things that could be sort of zombies, or maybe they were just maimed human beings. What is the difference at the end of the day? But it's very horror-y, and it's basically you get to the first thing and then enemies swarm your trenches and you're going through and you can sort of sneak and stuff. The thing that sort of lost me in the demo was it became very old school game design where it's so I need to get a code to get past this. Okay, well, it's opened up the other side of the trench, so I'll run all the way to the other side of the game. I've got the code. Now I'll run all the way back and put the code in. Great. Now it says to me to go open the thing at the place I was just at the other side. So I've run back and forth 5 times now. I think I've seen it, and I stopped. But it's a one-man show they're making this game, and its dedication to making a 90s-ass video game, I'm just it's sort of the problem we were talking about earlier, where I'm this is super impressive. I love it. I love everything you've done, and I will never touch it again. But you're going to keep making this, and I hope there's people to care to make it worth your while. I mean, I don't know if it needs to be a massive hit, but I'd like it to be worth your time. But I just don't know. A World War One based Resident Evil clone made in a 90s PC style.
That is
that's a niche.
That's in a niche.
Sure is a niche.
Yeah.
Speaking of niches, I also downloaded a survival horror game based in a rave.
That sounds amazing.
Strobophagia.
Good name.
So you're in the forest and they're having a forest rave, and you go in there and it's a weird mix of there's cult stuff going on at this rave. Everyone's wearing masks and neon paint, and it's very happy, but do the rights. And most of the game is conveyed through your phone. So to gain entry to the rave, you've got to scan a QR code with the phone, and so people talk to you through there. You can join different threads of, it's first timers at the rave, come here. And there's some people going, this is great. It's what the fuck is this shit? Yeah. It's not necessarily great at directing exactly what you need to do. I basically just started running into the forest, and I did find the stuff that I needed to find by running blindly into the forest. Because there's one good thing about raves is that the things they do are all bright neon colors. Yeah. So it's great. But you do get that creepy thing of like, hey, look at all these anonymous people with masks in the middle of the forest, and a weirdly cultish atmosphere to the whole thing. Again, like really cool atmosphere, like going through. It's got a weird problem with. It's a first-person game. When you're moving, suddenly the mouse feels like, I don't know, like you're pushing yourself to look a direction instead of actually turning.
It's got like weight behind it.
Yeah, it's weird. It didn't feel good.
That's strange.
But it feels like a fixable problem. I mean, we've had first-person.
Yeah, it's a well-solved problem.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting looking game, the Strobophagia. I haven't quite played anything in that sort of setting. Now, here's another weird one. Finders/keepers.
Like one or the other.
Kinda. So it's
based on the popular ABC television show.
I wish. No, this is a Tinder game. So the whole game is a vertical portrait, and it's got a 1-bit art style. So almost like the World of Horror stuff that we were doing earlier in the year. So you're going for a walk in the forest, and you've got your phone held in front of you in the game, but you can see the forest floor around the phone, just walking past as you walk. Yeah. And they've rendered a little 1-bit thumb, which it's like you're literally going through Tinder, like swiping it, and some of them are funny and some of them are like, that's a bit creepy or whatever. But then you start getting other apps. So eventually it's like, there's something in the forest up ahead. I've got this special app that shows locations. And then you can control where you run by just moving the phone around and then running forward. You never really look up from the phone. And then, it starts getting, it's a little bit horror-ish as well. But otherwise, it's just mostly conversations with you and your friends. So there's dialogue that comes up because you're walking with someone, and then your interactions with the phone. So here's the weirdest thing. No one can this game for a phone.
Oh.
I'm like, what? I mean, because it's made in a portrait lens. Again, like, really, like, it's a cool idea, but that is like, why don't you just make a phone version?
Yeah.
It will work fine. It's got that. But the thumb is cool. The thumb is like, they've done some good art on that thumb. Let me tell you that.
It's not you're gonna look at it the whole time. It's got
yeah. Cute little idea.
Thumbs are weird at that angle.
I think the devs sort of said like, oh yeah, I wasn't doing anything in COVID, so I thought I'd make a video game.
I think there's quite a few people who have done that.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? I'm going to try and make a game. I've got nothing else to do.
I thought I'd
learn a new skill.
Yes. And it's kind of, because obviously they're bringing in like a little sensibilities from whatever else they do. No, it wasn't /keeper, so it's Finders, keeper.
It's got a whole new meaning to it.
Yeah. I was just going to see if I can show you the thumb.
You're really selling this thumb.
It's a pretty good thumb.
Let me look at this thumb.
Yeah, actually, if I bring up the video, so you at home, get on your phone or whatever you're doing, and
I mean, it's a pretty good thumb.
It's quite well animated.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Finder with a Y.
No, that's the app in game. That's not the game.
Wow.
Yeah, you're walking.
That's some effort.
Yeah, it's like really fucking cool.
What on earth?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a worm with its own leg.
Yeah, it's a good thumb. So check out the thumb. Interesting. So Finders, keepers. Now, a game that I played because I've seen it many a time, and I thought, this game looks terrible. People keep saying it's good. Of Bird and Cage. It is a rock musical, and I like the idea of a rock musical. And so it starts out, it's a first-person game, and the intro, you're playing a little kid, and there's a domestic violence situation at home. And the music comes in, it's all just, all the actions are animated to the music, and parts of the environment are like flashing with the beat and everything. It's like, oh, okay, it's a little bit hackneyed, this like dad beating up on the mum thing. And I was like, it's a bit exploitative, but whatever, let's just go and see where it goes. Then there's a quick time event, you can try and fight your daddy off. And then you get to go into the real game. And they take you in the game and you go into a bar and then it's like, okay, talk to some people for some reason. And at that point, stopped being tied to the music. There's this music in the background. Got even more janky and boring. My favorite thing, and I posted it on our Discord, it was a prime example of artists that don't understand how shirts work. So when you have breasts, when you have a shirt, shirts aren't latex that coast the breast.
They're not painted on.
They don't go underneath.
Shirts aren't painted on.
They're not fitted under the bosom.
When someone sews a shirt for a woman, they do not make pockets to hold the tits in a tit shape. They tend to be constricted somewhat by material, and that material. I think I can't remember. Someone on our group I think said it right, where it looks like someone modded clothes onto the model. Because originally it's exactly just a nude model.
Someone's retextured a nude model to have.
Yeah, someone's got a nude model. They grabbed it off the asset store.
Yeah, it looks like body art.
Yeah, it has a very like they're trying for something. They want to have all these very detailed animated characters, but they don't have the budget to do any of it. And then also, because it's supposed to be a rock musical, you have to have a lot of animation then tied to the music. So there's a lot of production required to make something like this, and they don't have any of it. And it just feels really janky. I think first I had to go talk to someone, and they said, "You're like, can I do open mic night?" And they're like, "Fuck off." Okay, great. And then I just walked onto stage, and I was given a task to strum 3 guitars. Why?
Well, just like 3 different guitars?
Yes. Just walk up and hit.
Let's just go strum.
Yeah.
Okay.
I walked into the bathroom, found some spray paint, and wrote "I rule" or something on the walls. Like, okay. Am I at the end of the demo yet?
What is this game?
So, now I will end. Of Bird and Cage, it's called. I don't recommend it. But maybe it'll be like a Quiet Man by the end. So, I'll end it with one that I actually recommend on pretty much every level. Fights in Tight Spaces.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, it is a game where you have fights in tight spaces.
I like the title.
It's got it's sort of a silhouetted art style on the characters. So it's very easy to read. Very nice animation without obviously not having to texture or go into details. You just have the broad shapes. You are in small rooms, grid-based. It's normally you versus a bunch of people. And it's a card game. So you're given a series of moves that you have to perform, and it's a bit into the breachy in that the enemies commit their attacks before your turn.
You're responding to it.
So you go, okay, well this person's going to throw a big punch or shoot or something like that. So if I move them, they could attack someone else, or I know where to get out of the way and stuff like that. So there's a few systems at play. Basically, the building up a combo meter. You have different movement. There's a focus thing. It's all explained. It's relatively readable. It probably takes a few rounds to really get it. There's a few times where I'm like, I'll do this and then I'll move, and I can't move. I thought that card moved me shit. So you can't undo a move, which I probably would like, especially at the beginning of the game. Or maybe there is. Maybe I missed it. I didn't play that long. But yeah, it's just nice and concise, and you do cool fights in tight spaces. It is exactly what it says it is.
It's what it says on the tin.
And so it is a tactical but puzzle game because you do have a limited move set.
Is it a random cards?
At least in the part that I've done, I'm pretty sure there's cards being given to me deliberate, but I think you do have a deck.
Yeah, okay.
And so you can become a different kind of fighter and move around. And but they seem to be set decks at the moment, at least as far as I've played. It's a cool little game. It's concise, easy to understand. Its entire description and gameplay is in the title. Nice. So those are the games I have played in the Steam sale. That's now over. Steam Festival.
What my favorite deck building games are the drafting ones, because I never want to sit down and build a deck. I never want to unlock cards to build a deck. But if I'm playing the game and I'm just building it as I go, like a deck building game, I like that.
You slay the spires.
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet. I really want to play Monster Train. I feel
Monster
like
Train looks good.
Yeah, because it's like Slay the Spire, but it gives you a power fantasy every time.
Not just randomly if you've got
It's like, you want to do 1 million damage every turn? Here you go! And then suddenly all your enemies have 2 million health. Oh, shit. But now I do it. Yeah, so it sounded pretty good. Yes. Spoken about all that stuff.
So vaguely on roguelikes.
Oh, yes.
I have now at least gotten to what I assume is the final boss.
Oh, in Hades.
In Hades.
Yes.
I've gotten to that final boss once, and then I died, and I've gone back to the beginning.
I almost beat the final boss the first time.
Oh, yeah?
But the second phase of the final boss, which I don't count as a big spoiler because it's a final boss, started with an AoE attack.
Oh, yeah.
Which like 30 something damage.
Yeah, which is like, oh, well, I didn't know that.
It's gotten me a few times.
So like, oh, well, next time. And I haven't actually played again. So how's your Hades experience going?
Very good. Yeah, I find like it's something I'll just pick up casually and like, I'll just do a run.
Are you fishing yet?
And then I've just unlocked fishing.
Cool.
And then that turns into 2 or 3 runs. That's sort of how it goes with me.
So, other than the fact I've sort of just been playing I Am Dead recently, I will go back to play more. I would highly recommend, if you are like me, now that I have played more, that God mode is a fucking godsend.
Yeah.
If you want to go through and see the content and you aren't someone that,
highly recommend.
Yeah, if you just want to play through and you don't want to be doing a high number of runs, like you're still going to be doing a bunch of runs.
Maybe I should turn it on because I've turned it on.
You're going to be doing quite a few just to get the storyline.
Yeah. It's like I think since I've turned it on, I must have done about 10 runs because I'm at 40% damage reduction now. Which the thing is, while 40% damage reduction is quite a lot, you can get that much damage reduction just in the game normally if you get a build that direction. So it's not like the game would never let you get that. It just means you started it.
Maybe I should turn it on because like it does now feel like a little bit of a chore to get all the way there again to die straight away.
Being at the point where I think I've completed around 7 times now out of about 50 attempts. If the storyline they're presenting in the little tidbits of dialogue and the things you're learning as you play is the slightest bit intriguing to you, definitely turn it on to get that.
Yeah.
Because at the point I'm at now, it actually goes down a very interesting direction in terms of what story it's presenting.
Okay.
And it's not what I was expecting.
All right. Yeah, I should turn it on. Like, I haven't really been... The only reason I haven't turned it on is because I don't feel like I have to get... Like, I've never died and gone, that was too hard. It's more like, I played for like 20 minutes and I died. Okay, well, that's fair.
Yeah, because even my... our runs are still like... Yeah, I've never really had a run where I started going, I've been killed immediately. Like, no, you still have a long run. Yeah. But this just makes the runs that little bit longer and that little bit safety net. And
the last run I did, I unlocked a new mechanic.
Jesus, that game.
But that is... Yeah. It is something that you could potentially get much earlier depending on how you're using some of the resources you get.
Oh, yeah. Stuff at the base we're talking about. Yeah. I continue to like it. I've certainly slowed down. I'm not doing a run a day anymore. But I probably will once I'm done with I Am Dead.
Because, we're getting up to our goatees soon.
It's going to be a weird year.
And I have a feeling that Hades is going to do pretty well.
It's going to be on the list somewhere.
Yeah.
But still haven't played Bugsnax.
It's true.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah, because we are getting that sneaky console release just before our goatees.
Cyberpunk. Have you played through some Cyberpunk?
It's not even going to be on the list. It's going to be that disappointing.
Cyberpunk is going to be James's Outer Wilds. It's going to be not on there.
It's going to be Paul's Outer Worlds. Oh, goodness.
As excited as I am for it, if we're talking about lists, I don't think it'll be at the top.
Hades.
Personally, no, Cyberpunk. Personally, I'm excited for it, but I do not think it will be the best thing I've played this year.
I don't know if you'll be able to count Baldur's Gate 3.
I personally wouldn't because it's early access.
Fuck it.
That can wait till full release.
The whole
4 years.
It'll be game of the year for full release.
It takes about 5 minutes to get full release. Sorry.
Wow.
Paul,
look at Mr. 5 minutes over here.
Paul always brings the tone of conversation down. Dadish is out on Switch.
You haven't played Dadish?
No, I have played Dadish.
Dadish is great.
It's on Switch.
Every level has a dad pun.
I know. Great. I think I reviewed it halfway, but we've spoken about it on the show before. I was like, the puns are the best. No, I was just trying to remember it. Oh, Puddle Knights is out. Oh, that's right. That's the other game I want to, but no one else has heard of that too. I was trying to remind myself of something that's not common enough knowledge to bother talking about, especially when I haven't played it. So let's
Cool.
Yeah, I like video games. I feel like I've missed some big things this year, but I guess you always do. That's the way.
I feel like this year's been weird enough that I'm gonna have to really try hard to figure out what games even came out this year.
Yeah,
it's just been that year where how long ago was February?
And it's so because like
what is
really
time anymore?
in the world of fairness, like I have to say, Animal Crossing is definitely my game of the year. But at this point of the year, I've basically forgotten about Animal Crossing.
I forget they're doing a Halloween event apparently.
Yeah. That's what I want in the new consoles. I don't know if I said it on the show. So at least the Xbox, I don't know about PS5 if they're doing anything similar. So they have resume states, which I do like, but you can have multiple resume states. That's what I want on the Switch for Animal Crossing. I just want an Animal Crossing button.
Just hop back into it.
Yeah, I just want to go in
anytime.
for 5 minutes a day. I don't want to wait for it to load and then load my fucking thing.
Been my thing with Hades because there's another game I'm playing which is a dungeon crawler, a Japanese dungeon crawler. And I every now and then I'll pick up my Switch and I'm like, I'm going to play more of that. But I'm in the middle of a Hades run.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll just finish this Hades run.
then
I get to the end of Hades
Hades.
run. I'm like, and I just keep playing Hades.
It is actually...
I can't swap.
I think there is like a very good argument for being a swap. Because even if people are like, oh, people can do that on PC. It's like, not really.
You have to close and...
I have accidentally run simultaneous games many times, but I normally go like...
That's a good idea.
It's still holding onto memory. Like, it's still,
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
It's
boy.
just running in the background,
Yeah.
using up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, even the other day I was playing Deep Rock. I'm like, it just doesn't feel good. What's going on? Like, oh, because I've got Premiere, Audition, and Lightroom all running, doing work in the background. And I think, oh yeah, I had Firefox that hadn't been closed in about 3 days. And just like, oh no, it does run quite well.
My brother crashed his computer last night because he wanted to do a save of Baldur's Gate where all 4 of the party were custom characters. So he opened it up 4 times, started a LAN game, joined them all he multi-boxed what is effectively
He's a madman.
Single-player story RPG. Because he just wanted 4 unique characters, not the ones you pick up in the game.
Oh, good. Has anyone else watched Raised by Wolves?
No.
Not yet. It is on my list.
Good?
It's pretty good. It
on
was
my
not what
list.
I expected from the name.
I've heard some interesting things about it.
Yeah, nothing.
That pulled me in.
Do you know the setting, James?
Nope.
So it's a Ridley Scott produced and thing. I don't know if he wrote it all, but at least he wrote the idea or whatever. And I thought from that it would be like a survivalist, or kind of is a survivalist, or maybe a medieval thing. It's kind of that too, except it's basically you could somehow maybe force it into the alien universe. It's about 2 androids raising some kids on another planet. And I won't go into any more details from that. Oh, well, there are other people, and they're basically it's Warhammerish. They're a religious cult.
I have actually. I think I've seen the trailer for it.
I've heard interesting
It's
things.
got some interesting ideas. Don't know if I think it's good. It's definitely good no matter what. Yeah,
I watched season 2 of The Boys. Finished that.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've watched that yet.
Yeah, I
Still
finished
on
it
my
the other
list.
week.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I like The Boys.
Yeah, Boys is a good show.
Seems So I think the next series might be like you either got to do something wild after that, or this is the time to start wrapping stuff up.
Yeah, well, I actually had to look up whether there was a season 3 because I felt like it was kind of. You could have kind of ticked it off there. But yeah, there's a season 3 coming. So, okay. I also continuing my journey through Next Gen, Star Trek Next Gen.
Oh yes.
I'm now up to I think season 5. I think I'm season 5.
It's getting past the first season, which is a bit weird.
The first season's still okay.
I watched a lot of it last year.
But there's still some very good episodes. I was told one episode was going to be about Picard learning to play the flute. And that was the only thing I was given. I was told, Picard's going to learn to play the flute.
What else would you want?
Oh, he learns to play that flute. It's basically a time compression episode. So he's got lots of time to learn to play that flute.
Gonna learn to play a flute. Yeah, cool stuff. I showed James just before the show the trailer for Fat Man. Have you seen the trailer for Fat Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, gonna watch some Fat Man.
Yeah.
It's an interesting movie.
Yeah, go watch the trailer for Fat Man.
Buddy Walter Goggins. Man, that guy's such a good character actor. I love it. Anyway, I think that basically brings us to an end, really, doesn't it? We don't have anything else? No other business?
I mean, there's Chips Challenge.
Oh, yeah, that is written there.
If you want to go play
A modern new release
some Chips
that
Challenge.
no one in history has played.
James played Chips Challenge.
It's Chip Challenge, the Windows 3.1 classic puzzler.
that we all
it's
remember.
free there now on Steam. It's got Chivos.
It does cost you time, though.
It's got Chivos. You get little Windows pop-ups.
It's the original Metal Gear Solid.
So, someone, I think it might have been you that pointed out it was like 100 meg.
Yeah.
For Chip Challenge.
It's all the
And I assume it's because
uncompressed sounds.
Well, I assume it's a VM or something. Like,
There's just a bunch of MP3s. There's
really?
There's
That
97
was
meg of
doing it.
MP3 files. the sounds.
If anyone doesn't know what Chip's Challenge is, and it's basically a little object puzzler where you have to pick things up in a certain order, moving on a grid. It's a real simple little game.
It's the Steven sausage roll.
I put a lot of time into it as a kid. Yeah. The thing I find interesting is the reason it's hit Steam and come out for free is because the original creator has the rights of it again. Because what happened is he made a game called Chuck's Challenge that is a 3D, like graphically modernized direct replica of Chip's Challenge. The levels are exactly the same. The premise is the same. It's just
3D.
A different character. It's like an alien.
Yeah.
And it's 3D, like view-wise. Still top-down, grid-based. So he released that because he's like, well, I don't have the rights to Chip Challenge, so I'm going to make this legally distinct version that's exactly the same. Yeah. But now he has the rights again. So he
just released
put the original one back up.
I just wish that he added
and the second one.
I wish that he added save points.
It does need save states.
The biggest problem the game has is that puzzles can take a long time to finish, and you can screw it
up.
20-minute
puzzle that you mess up right at the
end. You got to do the whole thing.
And you don't know you've messed up till right at the end.
Yeah. Chip's Challenge, everyone.
It's nostalgic. That's what it is.
That's eligible for our goatees.
It's game of the year.
You guys can waste a space. I mean, I love Chip Challenge. Loved. If I didn't, I loved.
There was that other game in that pack because it was the pack with Ski Free in it, wasn't it?
I didn't know Ski Free was on
Challenge
there.
and Ski Free was just pre-installed.
Yeah, but as a pack, it was part of it. Like it was in that as well.
Not pinball.
Pinball was separate.
Cadet pinball.
Yeah,
the Space Cadet pinball thing.
There was another one in there that was like a mouse and cheese game. That was pretty cool. Yeah, like
it's no Alley Cat.
You were like avoiding cats.
Did you see they were remaking Alley Cat? Yeah. We should check on that. If you know what Alley Cat is, then you're our friend.
See, the only thing I know of something called Alley Cat is in those graphic novels, and I don't think it's the same thing.
I hope it is.
I hope in these pornographic graphic novels. I don't know why I said it like
pornographic.
That. I turned into an android hover. Pornographic. In these risque graphic novels you brought me, I really do hope they stop and play the CG8 classic Alley Cat.
I don't think
so. There's a cheese with some ice in it.
That's cool.
Got to go through the holes and try to get their mouse. Yeah.
Right.
Jump on the clothesline.
Yeah.
What were the other ones? Could get fish out of fishbowl.
Yeah. There was like 4 or 5 little mini games.
Yeah.
I remember the giant block of cheese.
Yeah, that's iconic.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for watching or listening to 8.5bit. You can see our website, 8.5bit.com, at Twitter and Facebook. Please like and share anything like that. Subscribe to it on iTunes or whatever the hell you want. You can join our Discord at discord.8.5bit.com and talk some shit with us, play some Alley Cat. And anything else you want to do. I'm also on Z Games, which is a radio show in Brisbane, which you can look up online. I should start plugging that more.
Frequency.
But really, their listenership is much larger than our listenership, so really I should be plugging me on them more way around. But I don't like to do that because I don't like to be a consumerist whore. What am I talking about?
Plus, maybe we'll get viewers and they'll hate us.
Yeah, that's true.
They'll go back through our back catalogue and they'll hear some of the
said
things.
Some terrible things you said back in the day. That bloody online episode where I stood up and didn't realize I wasn't wearing pants. I checked the recording. I was fine. Okay. Yeah, and then I'm not allowed to swear on that show. I swore the other week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I swore at the end of my Paradise Killer
radio.
Okay. Apparently, I said I was getting very excited. I was like, oh, and then they just fucking, and like it just slipped under my. It's like you're not allowed to swear before 7 p.m. and it was 5 to 7.
Oh, scandalous!
It's community radio. Nobody noticed. I hope not. Anyway. Again, thank you. I've been your host, Paul.
I've been James.
I've been Sam.
Catch you later, folks.
See you, everyone.